Okay, welcome back, folks. We are continuing our discussion about the FY 26 budget recommendations from House Human Services, and we are picking up with a language in Dale, recommendations in the Department of Disabilities, Aging, and Independent Living. Okay, so I think that when we were last leaving our discussion, we were trying to make a decision about the priority setting for the COLA. And I had brought up the issue that the health department team was making it a higher priority. The Dale team had it as a medium priority or as number 4 or 5 on your list, something like that. So I assigned it the medium priority. And I think that Dan had suggested that we move that to high. Just before we left. Did I get that right?
Sure. Yes.
What? I thought you said that. I'm not putting words in your mouth. Was that something else?
No, I mean,
Oh, but that might have been the Meals on Wheels one.
it was the Meals on
It was the
Wheels.
Meals that we went to, yeah.
And
Yeah, we
then
went
this
to.
one
Yeah.
was, because it was taking the place of where home share was. Correct.
Okay, so people's thoughts, and I remember Ann saying, well, we need to have a rationale for why they would be different, because a COLA is, if we don't give it, it's essentially a cut, if we don't make some arrangements for it. I'm gonna put my thoughts forward. You guys can take it for however you want, but I feel like it should be a higher priority, even though it's a lot of money. I feel it should be a higher priority because of the inequities that we continue to have in our system of only funding the highest costs, as we will talk about next, in the highest cost services in our systems, both in DCF and at Dale. And so I feel like it should be a higher priority than medium myself. Yeah. Go ahead.
I think it actually undercuts the statements we make about under the statutory nursing home increase. If it's not a high priority, because if we can express a concern about, well, it's not there necessarily. I guess the next one, we can express a concern about lack of support.
Yeah.
For frontline services, but then we're almost backing off the level of that concern if we then say, but it's okay to level fund
Right.
all of these.
Yeah.
services.
And we just passed a bill out on a unanimous vote that said we should be doing this. We should be doing this, but we should be doing it based on data.
Right.
All right. So I'm
we're
interested in
constantly
proposing.
playing catch up with these,
Yeah.
with our funding for these agencies.
Well, we think we are.
Well,
Right.
and
We
the reason is because they're never,
Correct.
they're not in the
Never
budget.
included.
They're riddled.
Yes.
Sometimes they are at a
Uh,
limit.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I'd like to just put forward that inconsistent with what we're saying, what we're moving forward with, that I think that all of those statements should be the highest priority wherever they are, or there needs to be some sort of cover statement. I don't think there should be a difference of opinion within the groups. It should be a single.
I think all the COLAs should be the same level. And it's now, I guess, discussion about whether it should be highest or high.
I would go highest.
All right, so why don't we just do a little straw poll about what,
Okay.
remember, we're talking about home and community-based providers for older Vermonters and people with disabilities. So who would go with highest? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay, all right. We will move that along to highest then. I'll ask the second question. All right. Okay, so now we're moving on to federally required conflict-free case management. It is something that was budgeted for a full year across Choices for Care and Developmental Services. And in Choices for Care, it is being implemented already. So that part would need to stay. However, in Developmental Services, they do not anticipate implementation until 4 months into the fiscal year. And so the team's recommendation, I need to have the GF amount for that. Did you give me that?
Nope, but I can do it.
Okay. The team's recommendation is that, well, one, you can see what the recommendation, it says to have a one-time savings. The full amount would be in FY 27. So what that does is it frees up a little bit of one-time money for appropriations to use within, hopefully, our recommendations. It's always helpful when I can go to appropriations and say, well, we found a little bit of money for you. Everybody get that, what that is about? Okay, so it's funding 4 months less, and we make note that it would need to be funded in 27.
Yeah.
But I think I'd rather have us have the use of it during this period of time and not put it in a place where it's not needed. Okay, so Dan's calculating the GF. It's something like 40 what?
41.2.
41.2.
Do we need to vote on that?
794.
Yeah, we will. Thank you. So even?
794, 320.
Okay, so that is a reduction of 794,320 in GF, 1.9 in GC. Okay, yes, we need to vote on that one because that was a different from the governor's recommend. All in favor of that reduction, one-time reduction. Okay, that looks like an 11-0. And again, we make note that it is a one-time reduction. Okay, then we get to the statute. I feel like that's not a statute.
It's statutory.
Statutory. See, I knew I was
Statuary is.
It's
Sort of the same. Other sentence.
Probably a spell check.
statutory. No, I looked at it this morning and I said like, that doesn't look right, but I can't figure out what it is. What's wrong? Okay. All right. So in the governor's recommend, there's 15.3 million for this, and this is made up of two things, inflation factor and something called rebasing, where they do an extensive look at the costs associated with providing nursing home services. And they essentially say, okay, this is the new base. And then they added the COLA.
They're
on top of
lucky
that.
they get that regularly.
They, it is not lost on us that this is something that, this along with the PNMI, are two areas where it is required and, anyways, I'll hold my comments about that. So the recommendation is that we concur. However, again, we're concerned about ongoing need for emergency financial relief and the need for the industry to make changes. And so we do have language that is being worked on with regard to that. Okay, we didn't do anything that, so we're not going to vote. So then you see another $24.5 million for nursing homes. And this is essentially, you might recall in the BAA, there was an additional 77,000 days of utilization that was not budgeted for. This essentially trues that up. And includes it in the base. Again, we make a comment that we were all just referring to, that we're concerned about the lack of support for home and community-based services and only finding the highest cost service. It's
Which could end up reducing some of that if we actually,
if we actually.
or prevent it from going even
Prevent it from
higher.
going
you know,
higher.
as we-
And I
Yeah,
also note that
Yeah.
this is the second or third year in a row that we keep hearing that should decrease the need for BAA, and that's why the next
Yeah,
one,
right.
and it doesn't.
I'm not sure if we put that actual phrase. in
No,
there.
I'm saying, like the rationale is
Yeah.
always to include this in the budget.
Yeah.
Is always, well, we won't come back and ask for more in extraordinary financial relief, but
Right.
we still get a huge request at BAA every year.
And Dan and I have been having some discussions with the industry about this issue, and we're trying to address some of that in language. So you'll hopefully see it pretty soon. Okay, then we're moving on to caseload. Dan, you had B334, but developmental services isn't the same appropriation line as choices for care. Can you just look up that number for me? And this is caseload. This is consistent with previous year calculations. They do a 3-year running average. It's there's nothing unusual about this or different, except for again, our And we do have language on here, about, the Agency of Human Services providing, rather than us having to like run around trying to calculate it at budget time, providing us actually with what each 1% of the cost of living would be.
Yeah, if you could change that to B 333.
Free. Okay, thank you. Okay, and then, the one that I'm missing was $800,000, to, adult day. Hold on, I'm just trying to fill it in as we go.
Yep.
I need the B number on that too.
That's under grant, so 334.
No, that's nursing homes. You gave me 334 as nursing homes. 333? No,
Nolan, do you happen to know? Question, adult days,
what's the B number for adult days?
is it, Patrons. Dale. Waiver. You'll find it. I'll get it. Gotta find my thing. And we could put some language in there also under the nursing home to offset 34,267 hours of absentees across 11 adult days for the first 6 months of FY 25.
Can you say that again? How many hours?
34,267.
3:30.
Is that?
30, thank you. It's B 330.
Nolan, I got 3:30.
Okay.
Do you want to double check?
I believe it's 330.
Okay.
Do you want me to email you that, what I just said?
No, because I'm putting it in as we speak, but then you said 3:30 and I thought that was referencing.
Oh,
this, so that's okay. What?
30, so it's 34,267 hours of absenteeism across 11 adult days over 6 months.
Yeah. Hours or days?
Hours.
Okay, because they are reimbursed on an hourly basis. Over 11 months or 11 providers
11 providers,
or,
for 6 months.
so I'm just saying it funding partially addresses loss due to absences. And then, the 34,267 hours of absence. Is that 880 equal to that? So we're.
Correct, and I have a
Okay.
breakdown.
Okay, I don't need it by breakdown. Okay. And then I'm, saying that H13 addresses need for, okay, and that is GC, right?
Correct.
And what kind of priority are you putting on that?
We put it in as medium. But
Yeah, we
it's
need.
just a note, it's just a note that, this is an issue and contributing to the instability of, these providers.
Can you calculate the,
Well, no, it would be,
general fund?
because it's all general fund. Sorry, it's all general fund. Because it's services not.
Oh, right,
provided.
that's what you just said before. Yep. I remember that now. You said that yesterday. And it's an after the fact kind of thing. as well.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, all right, that's the last one for Dale. So, to summarize, sorry, we were kind of doing stuff as we were going. That was my fault. Okay, so there was nothing recommended in the governor's budget. It's adult day services provided to older Vermonters. And are there some younger Vermonters with disabilities that go to adult day?
I believe so.
And then this funding is to partially address losses due to absences. As Dan just said, 34,000 and some hours of absence for the first 6 months of this year. And so this is trying to increase the base in order to address that. You're not talking about one time, right?
This would be, well, this is one time, because this is one time.
This is one time. So why didn't we address this in budget adjustment? Because the number, why didn't we address this in budget adjustment?
I mean, too late now.
That's actually a good answer.
That's why we didn't.
I mean, it's making the case that, look, we've got to try to figure out some strategies on making sure that whether it's providing funding for additional transportation to make sure people have access to these sites so that they can get these services and provide the respite and the support to the individual. And also that, maybe look at how they're reimbursed.
Yeah, man. I won't go into the history on that one. All right. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Todd.
And it was like $800,000 if they changed, right?
Yeah,
It's a lot of money.
A
yeah,
lot of money.
yeah. That's
So
so
they're
it's
losing out.
that they're losing because of absences and the failure to address that in rate setting process, which can be addressed.
I would add, it's not always helpful to look at one example, but just at the legislative hours that we had last weekend, there was one who specifically spoke to this and how it's allowed her husband to stay at home by having options like adult day and not end up in a nursing home. So just as we hope it would.
Right.
It's playing out.
And I will point out, just because that's my job to do, that we pay for absences in nursing facilities. We only require them to be at 80% occupancy.
Right.
And so their rates are adjusted accordingly.
Would be my main thing.
Okay, so who is in favor of this? Okay, that's an 11-0. Okay, all right, now we're moving, I'm gonna move back to DCF. Are we ready to move back to DCF? Okay. Economic services, all right, we did the GA, we did 211, we did the 638. Oh, okay. Oh, yes,
Yes, do you mean the B number
yeah, B number for reach up.
323?
And is there, thank you, is there a reduction?
The governor recommends a caseload adjustment of 697, 635.
I can't.
I'm not sure if we're in the.
That is on the list.
It's missing.
Oh,
being
okay,
added.
sorry, I'm adding to the list.
We're adding it now.
It got left out.
Describe it.
by mistake.
My glasses in the car and I'm thinking, okay.
Brenda, it's there, I swear it's there. No, it is not there. Okay, so the administration's recommending a reduction in the reach up caseload projection. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what is it we want to say about this?
I mean, the recommendation we have is we increase the rateable reduction percentage to 50.6 this year, and 51.6 next year.
How much does that cost?
We don't have that.
Okay.
That's the one.
We do,
Yeah.
dollars.
We don't have it.
Go with the highest. That's right. We're just waiting for that report.
Yeah, no, we're not doing the
Yeah,
report thing.
yeah, it's
That's
really-
not
yeah.
doing the report. Okay,
Just a
so,
reminder, what is it now?
49.6.
49.
Yeah,
okay,
so this would be raising it 1%.
Yep.
so our,
This year.
2 years ago, I think, we asked for a plan from the department for decreasing the rateable reduction. Just as a reminder, we say what it costs, basic needs, the basic needs budget, not extra stuff. The basic needs budget, and that's prepared by the legislature with you hire a consultant to do that, right?
No.
No, you do it yourselves?
Do it in-house.
Whoa. Okay, so the basic needs budget prepared by JFO, is, done every 2 years?
For 2 years.
Every 2 years. Thank goodness Nolan is here. Um, is done every 2 years. And so then that amount is used and then it essentially is reduced by more than 50%. So the rate of a reduction is, say it again, 40.
49.6.
Okay. So actually just they reduce it by 49.6.
The percentage is, that's where it gets confusing.
Okay.
The percentage is 49.6. So like, let's say we say the basic needs, I'm just gonna use easy, is
Yeah.
100. We multiply that by that, and that is by the 49.6.
Okay.
So you get $49.6 out of every 100.
Yeah. Okay. So, and what is the recommendation?
To increase the percentage to 50.6. So for every 100, they would get of the basic need, they would get $50.06.
Okay.
60
Instead of $49.06.
Yes.
So it's
And 60 cents.
60,
Right.
yeah, 60, yeah. So it's $1 per $100.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so, we have asked the department for an estimate about what this would cost in total. They have not provided that yet. So what happens in that case is, because we're the policy committee, if we think this is a good policy to do, we can insert here, and as I said, recently to a group, I said, this is only the beginning of this process. So this will make its way through many other iterations and lots of other people are going to be looking at it and they'll have an opportunity to fill that number in. But so essentially now what we would be indicating our support or not support for is the policy of decreasing the rateable reduction. Essentially, it would increase a benefit amount by a very small amount. But it's in keeping with the legislation that we passed 2 years ago. So that's what we're talking about. Any questions? Okay, who is in favor of that policy? 6, okay, that's 9 yes. Who is not in favor of that policy? 2 opposed. Okay. Okay.
Do we have a priority level?
Oh yeah, do you have a priority level for that? I would say medium or high.
Yeah, well,
Hi.
I mean, I'd like to see it high, but I think it has to be medium just in terms of the context of everything
Of
else.
everything else, yeah. All right, I'll go with that. Okay, and that, is that everything in economic services? So I put the ERAPS funding and community action agency stuff and the home program. I put that all in all OEO. Is that the right
Yeah.
place for it?
I believe so. Yeah. There's a
Okay.
little confusion just around that 2 million. I assume should be an OEO, but then, and that's how it's listed in like the presentation we got from the department. But then, so yeah, I think that's
Okay.
yeah, how it should be.
They've said it's for shelter, to expand shelters, and
Yeah.
that is in OEO, so, all right.
Yep.
Okay, so, and, B 325, is that the right number? I just wanted to double check.
For,
Where, it's all of
Yes.
those, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, all right. Okay, so in the governor's, recommend, there's $3.7 million increase in the base for, oh, I didn't write hot program, that's what I should write. Oh, there's what I meant. Hot program.
What's the B number again on this?
325.
325, thank you. Okay, so this is for the Housing Opportunity Program, otherwise known as HOP. Um, and the governor's recommending a 3.79 million increase in the base. And that is to essentially, last year there was one-time money to expand shelters. This puts money into the base to continue the operation of those shelters. And then 2 million in one time to increase and expand shelters. So that's what the governor's recommend is. I believe we had discussion about that yesterday, concurring with that. So we're not supposed to be having this conversation.
Well, we had talked about the possibility of a 1.4 million or 1 million
Base
increase
36.
for a 4% COLA.
Look at this one.
That, we had talked about it. I haven't had it in my sheet.
I say 325. No, 36.
Oh, it's B.
Thank you.
I know.
This,
sometimes
because
it's-
this recommendation level funds from FY 25 and then brings in the base for the shelter operations of the shelters that had come online in the prior year.
Okay, so do you have a number for a 4%?
Yes,
Sorry.
1 million.
It's 1 million even?
It's like, well, this was, it was 1 million, like 1 million and some very small dollars kind of thing. Because I believe the base addition or has some increase built into it. So it's on the.
Is it on the 29, all right, I'm gonna back up for a minute. Is the
Yeah.
total base funding of 29,798,000? Is that before the 3.7 is added to the base?
No, the 3.7 is added and that's how you get the 29,798.
Okay,
The number before that, now let me just get to the right spreadsheet because all of my things appear in different documents. Was so 26 098,988.
26,098,988 times 4% is 1,043,959. Okay. Okay, so I guess I'm going to suggest that we do put that in just because we're trying to be consistent with these community providers. And we have in every other department so far done that. And that's B325 again. So 0 was recommended. This is a 4% COLA increase for community-based providers. Yeah, go ahead.
Operations piece. Maybe I missed this while I was out, but I'm wondering if it would be appropriate here just to add that stipulation we talked about
The language.
contractors should be prioritized in state or employees should be prioritized in state with these dollars.
Or we have to, it's within the community, the language.
Do you have it in your language that you sent?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll talk.
Language, yeah.
We're gonna look at all the language.
Okay.
Yeah,
A question, I understand that the desire to be consistent with the 4% in the other areas, is that more clearly connected to wages paid to workers?
HOP
And-
only cover, like HOP doesn't cost, like HOP is the wages to the direct service providers.
So the 26 million is wages, it's not overhead.
There's some,
Rents or operations.
as you heard, like HOP can't cover administrative costs.
Thank
It's
you.
in the direct provision of services.
okay. All right, so
Which is a barrier we should look at for these, but we're not working on today.
B 325, 0 recommend in the governor's budget. To be consistent with what we're doing with other providers, is a recommendation for 4% COLA increase for community-based providers. That's calculated on the amount prior to the addition of the base. And that would be 1,043,959. And I'm being consistent again, and I put that as highest because that's what we did with the others. Who is supportive of that?
This is now in that, because now.
We added it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's a new separate.
It's a new
It's a
one
separate
that
thing.
wasn't
Okay.
captured.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I separated because it's not in the governor's recommend.
Right. I'm not sure I see this quite as the same as all the other, and maybe I'm wrong, sort of.
Sorry, well, ask the
Trying to-
question.
Yeah, trying to, well, it's not a question as much as a
This is.
comment. I'm not sure I see it the same as the other providers as being just in sync with that, because this is sort of like a whole new thing in a way, as opposed to our longstanding community providers that year after year have level funded. So maybe that's not the right reason, but
It's a
for me,
question.
it's not the same.
It's a question. I don't know the history of how long, but same question came to mind for me is the history of being underpaid, if you will. Is that history present for this workforce as it is with the others?
So, I guess I'm gonna, maybe push back a little bit on your thought, Anne.
Mhm.
Because these are, it's a different area of state government for sure,
Mhm.
but they are doing the work that the state has asked them to do in providing shelter and services for, people who are homeless or at risk of being homeless. And, I myself don't see that as different from a designated agency or a AAA or, home health
Mhm.
agency. They're community-based providers. They've had longstanding grants with state government.
Well, that was the question. So this
Yes.
this is still longstanding, even though this is a longstanding
It's a longstanding program.
community program.
Yes.
Okay,
The
that's,
thing we're talking
Yeah.
about is not.
it was less clear to me. Thanks.
Yeah.
Adding it, right?
And they have not received any increase in this, I can tell, in terms of, a COLA increase since I've been here.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
this is probably way underfunded, to be honest. Okay, this is on, I want to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about. Again, 4% COLA increase for community-based providers. I should put.
Is it on here?
Yeah.
No, I just added it.
Okay, because I was confused.
It was something that wasn't on their sheet, and so I had only taken the things from their
Okay.
sheet, and we're doing this sort of in real time, so
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I guess if I had sent it in a different way, they could see the changes as I was
If
making.
it were in Google, we could see it.
No, you're
No,
not
you-
doing Google Docs.
No,
OneDrive.
I'm just saying.
OneDrive.
It is in OneDrive, but I sent.
You haven't shared the
a
link.
copy. I
That
didn't
you
share
didn't
them.
share the OneDrive link.
Yeah, it's because I didn't want you all to be making changes.
You
Oh,
can't.
that's good.
Oh, okay.
We can do that
I'm just
next
learning how to
time.
use, I'm just learning how to use OneDrive, so yeah, it's not,
Thought maybe I was losing it.
no.
I don't feel comfortable voting the stuff that's not on here. It's not that I don't trust the
You can't
committee.
see.
That you
Yeah,
can't
I
see.
like to.
Yeah, it's like when we
Do you
do.
want to
bill-
put it on the screen? Could we?
No, I don't want to put these on the screen. So, that's
Come
fine.
back to it.
Yeah, it's
Well,
fine.
and we
I'll
are-
send a revised version. We're almost done through this. I'll send a revised
Yeah, that's
version and then
okay.
people can look at it.
I mean, I wrote,
Yeah,
I was there.
I understand that. Yeah. go ahead.
So I kind of want to interject, and I'm sorry for somewhat of a new, but. We're now recognizing across all of our community providers that, without a COLA, they're being asked to do more, they're getting a cut.
Yeah.
When I looked at, Brenda and my part of the budget, that's when I kind of developed the idea of the language that we're doing, saying, tell us each year what 1% is so that we can be addressing this in the beginning. And that was kind of our alternative to actually saying this much this year. It was to first get information. But I'm supportive of this approach that says we actually need to make them equal to everything else we're doing. But that actually suggests we need to go back to the DCF community providers likewise.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
The only problem that I have is that it is virtually impossible for them to give us a list of those providers
Right.
because there's, yeah, I mean, we tried this
Yes,
last
I
year.
know. And that's why we want to, but they know, yeah, we don't know, we can't figure the number, I guess, if they don't. I mean, they should know the total number of grants they give to community providers.
I think we should,
Services.
they should.
So even
I
though
would
we
agree.
can't identify them all,
Yeah.
and in some of this, well, some of them we're identifying, but.
So it is that, and that frankly is mostly in the Family Services Division.
Right, and that's, yeah,
So let's add a note to the Family Services Division that references the community-based providers and due to lack of information available, but we believe it. there
so
should
that would be under,
consideration.
yeah, we already, under B 317, where we say PNMI inflation adjustment.
Yeah.
We concur, and then we say other community-based direct services receive no COLA. We could say there, and we recommend 4% in order to maintain level services as with other community-based direct services in other human services categories. I don't want to leave my guys out.
Yeah, no. Emails.
You know, if we're recommending and recognizing that disparity, then,
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up.
Yeah.
Okay, first. Okay. Okay, so we did that one. Okay, now we're on to some of the federal funding that is ending. B 325, the ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance. I just needed to know what,
33.
33, thank you. And I took it out of the two separate things, because I think Anne had a good point yesterday.
That's what I originally wanted to do.
I know.
So I
That
was
was me.
very happy to
That was
hear
me.
Anne suggest that.
33, I was trying to be frugal. Anne suggests we should put the whole need in there, so. Because both are needed.
Yeah.
The shelter and this, so. If people aren't following that conversation, we had a conversation yesterday about this, and the recommendation, based upon the feedback that I had given, was to take the 2 million that the governor had put in for shelter expansion and to use it for case management positions. And Representative Donahue said, well, actually, both are needed. And so we should really represent both. And so that's what's done here.
but now, now on this one, as with the thinking yesterday in terms of, can we do it all? Now we're saying, let's save all of those, which I agree would be what we should and would need to do to fully support the system. But in terms of the full amount, I would not support it being highest then. It's high, it might be, part of it would be highest, the full amount would become high. I would.
People okay with that? I have to say that it is the loss of federal funds, and there's this sort of like ongoing tug around the expectation that we replace lost federal funds. The only
And
reason.
the thing is, that's like all over. I don't know
It's all
that we can't make those decisions.
I'm
based-
agreeing
yeah,
with you. I'm
okay.
agreeing with you.
Yeah,
The thing that I have added here, but is that this is part of what we're going to be drawing upon to create the new temporary shelter program, that case management services for people who are gonna be in temporary shelter, so, which is kind of why I had put it at highest, but I was being. I'll put it at high, I think high is okay. Okay, so,
There's a,
got a question, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to be the highest also. That's my recommendation.
You would like it to be highest?
Yes.
Okay, all right, well, so now I guess we'll have a straw poll on the, what do we call it?
Priority.
Priority, thank you. What it's called. Okay, on the priority level, who would like the 3.75 to be highest? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and a half.
Do that?
Not really. Okay, 6. And who would like it to be high? 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't add up right. I knew
There's an
somebody.
abstention.
I did 1, 2, 3, 4. So I must have, did you vote?
I voted for the
High.
highest.
Highest. Okay, all right. So it's highest.
Fine.
Okay. Next is 325 Community Action Agency.
Wait, do we vote on the?
Oh, on the whole
amount
thing.
of that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a proxy for me, but. Okay, so now, this is, voting on the recommendation as a whole, this one recommendation as a whole. So those folks in favor.
sorry, could you read it all? I'm sorry. I'm not holding it all in my head.
Okay, it's
That's
on your screen. The only difference is that I didn't have the number, well, I mean, I had it, but I wasn't gonna go look for it. It was 33 positions.
Okay, and which one is
So
it?
it's the ERAP.
ERAP funding
and-
Oh, I see.
30.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Everybody clear?
yes, thank you.
Okay, alrighty, so who is supportive of this recommendation? 3, okay, that's
Yeah.
11-0. Okay, B 325, Community Action Agencies Micro Business Development Program. So currently, 4 of the CAPs have this, and this is adding 1 full-time equivalent. This helps individuals, low-income individuals, learn how to develop their own business and become self-sufficient. And so this was a request from the community action agencies. Current base is 493, and this would be an increase of 87,661. I had listed it as a medium priority. Okay, and there was nothing in the budget, so this is a new request. People in favor of this request? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, no, 9.
No, 9.
9, sorry, yeah. I counted twice. People opposed to this request, 2, yeah. No, I knew what you meant. Yeah, okay, so that was a 9-2. Okay. Community action agencies, again, financial coaching program. This is something where fewer of them have an existing staff, and they are looking to have 1 full-time equivalent in each of the 5 community action agencies. Current base is 170,000, and they're looking for 357,000.
Is that supposed to say enables all 5 county?
Oh, I should say, yeah. Should
I'm
say
just
5.
saying.
Thank you. Okay, again, this is financial literacy coaching. I'm kind of surprised that they all don't have one of these already, to be honest with you, but, again, when no increases are provided to agencies,
They
over
end up
time,
having to
they
cut
have to
things.
cut things, yeah. Okay, B 325, people, in favor of this, request. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people opposed to this request. 2, okay. And then finally, the home family voucher program. Again, this was something that is a replacement of lost federal funds. 155 families have been served today, currently 92 families enrolled. Rental and security deposit assistance for 24 months. And the funding would support an additional 50 families and extend current families to 36. And that is $2.4 million. Okay. All in favor of this? Yes, question. Go ahead, Todd.
I would like to raise this the highest. I think it's very fair.
And I was gonna say, I
beat you.
do a medium on this.
Wow.
You know what, I'll,
That's okay.
I'll leave it be and consider us canceled out.
That's fine. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So we need to vote on.
So
whether
we're gonna
it's
vote,
high or
yeah, we're gonna
higher.
vote on the priority ranking. Who would like to move this from high to highest? 2, 3, 2.5?
Okay.
Okay, who would like to
Only
keep it at
Ben's
high? 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know, which, I didn't count
You can
you.
count me as highest.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's 3, 5, it's 8. Who wants to move it down?
Medium.
1, 2. I missed somebody, but I think the majority is at high, so we're gonna keep it at high.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to vote on the whole thing.
Do we
So
have to do the hot? Oh,
No, we
oh, the
did.
whole thing.
I just mean the home family voucher whole thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
On this recommendation.
On this recommendation,
Yeah.
yes. So people in favor of this recommendation to be included. Okay, it looks like we have a 10 and people opposed, 1, 10, 1. Okay, we did all
we're
of Dale,
done,
right?
yeah.
We just have that one
Yes.
little piece. Oh,
Yeah.
that means we're done.
We're done. yeah.
No, Department of Health.
Oh,
Oh, no,
Department of
yeah,
Health.
I'm sorry. Oh, the Department of Health.
Yeah.
Oh, we're done.
I know.
Yeah, we're so done.
But Department of Health is not as controversial and we can move quickly.
yet.
Okay, so we don't need to do anything with the first one. We're concurring with the governor's recommendation. Okay, and the 313, we already had this conversation that we're gonna suggest that Mentor receive 200,000 from this appropriation.
Right, Katie, sent the language for, that DCF is putting the 200,000 for Mentor Vermont. And here is where we need to indicate that money is moving to DCF.
That DCF should transfer to, Health Department should transfer to DCF.
That goes in here. She was saying that wouldn't be language. The language says DCF shall spend.
Well, in two
I
18,
was-
it says it's being sent to different departments.
So, yeah, but that's not the budget. So what I'm thinking is that you'll put it narratively in your memo explaining that you want money that from this proposal to be transferred here. And House appropriations and JFO, while they're working on the budget, will make that happen in the numbers. And you're just saying, from this appropriation, you want 200,000 to go to Mentor Vermont. Does that
From the
make sense?
DCF appropriation.
Yeah, so
That's the language.
they'd have to know how to cross-reference the right appropriation.
So I'm just writing in transfer $200,000 from this appropriation to DCF for Mentor Vermont. Is that right?
Yeah, no.
No?
Are you writing your narrative for your memo?
The memo is going to be pretty short because everything is going to be contained in this nice little chart we have.
Okay, so I think you could say that you want the preventative service money from the health department, X amount to be transferred to the Department of Health, DCF. And you can write in the narrative for X purpose, but I also gave language to Representative Donahue that says,
The language says DCF shall spend this money
Yes.
for.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
I
So, yeah,
think
this
we're all
year-
the same. Transfer to DCF.
And I sent you the language, for the language part.
Okay, will you send it to Ray?
I think I sent. it, but-
Okay, because she's
Yeah, double check, but I think I did.
completing that.
I think I did. Let's see here.
Okay, all right, so I don't need that suggestion.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have it.
Okay, yeah.
You have it? Okay, thanks. Both of you. It doesn't need to be in red. Okay, all right. The next thing, we're just concurring with the governor's, recommend. Moving, Oh, abasement, I think that's abatement. Basement. It's in here, it's a basement special.
Basing the.
Right, I know, right? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we had 320,000, and we are concurring with, so we don't need to talk about that. And we have, 1.5 in the base and 500,000 in one time for a 15-bed pilot recovery campus, which is it's, as the commissioner described, a step down from residential treatment for longer support. They've already issued an RFI. There's one-time funds for fit up and renovation. I made a note that while we concur, and this, and maybe other people, I can't remember if we all agreed on this or not, but however, notes that this proposal should be part of an ongoing decision-making process with the opioid abatement special fund advisory committee. Did we talk about that? I had a recollection. We didn't?
I don't remember
I
it.
don't know. Eric says we did. I don't know.
Fine with it.
I remember
It was
asking the
brief.
commissioner the question, why didn't this come up? And he said, well,
Oh, it
the
didn't.
timing of it, and I'm like,
Right.
which was, I just have to tell you, they start the governor's budget in September.
Yes.
And the opioid abatement special fund recommendations didn't come till December.
Yeah,
Um,
but that would have been good.
okay, so doesn't seem like people have a problem with that. Okay, okay, now next, and we've made the decision to put COLAs at highest. Not gonna revisit that one. Okay, next is COLA. And that's for the preferred SUD providers, recovery centers, and recovery residences.
And I sent you over the figures.
What, it's in here now. 1.3 million, $1,340,300 for preferred providers. That's global commitment, because that can be Medicaid. And then $34,356 and in general fund, and 155,612 in global commitment for recovery centers and recovery residences, because not all of those services are Medicaid eligible. This is new, so we won't do a little vote on this until you have a chance to look at the whole
Oh,
thing,
I'll
so you
read
can
it
see
then.
it in writing, okay?
Yeah, I was trying to write it down.
Nope, that's okay. And then I'm gonna finish with empty arms, and then the budget team for VDH has another proposal to make. Okay, and then empty arms, that's providing peer support for individuals and families who babies have died, and that was a 40,000 request, and the team, and I think we've actually already talked about this one as a highest level of support. That's 40,000 GF. Okay, who is in favor of the 40,000 empty arms request? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who's opposed? Okay. Okay, now I'm turning it over to the VDH team.
We got some information from Nolan a little while ago in regards to that. I first want to start by just recognizing recovery centers and the recovery residencies are two distinct and separate entities. Really distinct and separate. The recovery residencies have received a 3% COLA increase, as well as some other increases, yet the recovery centers have not. And I'd like to make a recommendation to provide an $800,000 increase on top of that 4% base funding, specifically for the recovery centers, to help them expand their services and programming, to also assist with providing some competitive wages that will attract and retain a skilled workforce. And some of the centers do need support in upping their infrastructure. That way they can provide more opportunities on the weekends and open up those doors. There's kind of been a theme that's going to come on down here. We're making quality investments into our infrastructure of continuum of care. Where we're making the investments into the workforce, to the people that are on the ground level, and providing this $800,000 increase to the recovery centers keeps kind of that pattern into place and allows them to expand their infrastructure and continue to do, the quality work. And again, the centers are also proportionally through, every county has a center, so this is also a statewide investment. So we got together, John and I, and we'd like to make a pitch that we add $800,000, recommend that,
How many centers are there?
14.
Can't that come out of the opioid?
Just,
Like a good place.
Hang on one second.
potentially. I'm sorry. you
Jubilee
said
was
Jubilee
first and then
Ann. Okay, thanks.
I just like to express my support and thank you for bringing this forward. I know also the recovery centers are really a pivotal resource for a lot of the other issues we're working on here. I know in my county and in others, they're in the shelters, they're doing street outreach and really bringing that recovery focus to folks, especially folks who are unsheltered, but folks experiencing homelessness. They're really providing a place for Vermonters with substance use disorder, a place that they can have a community and feel like a person and, not always just be about these other things. I know they're doing like hiking groups and things like that. And it's such an important part of this whole system of care. And I really want to make sure that they are able to sustain themselves and perhaps, like you said, do things like offer some weekend hours, even if it's not all weekend. It's such an important time for people to have that support available to them. So yes, I agree with this recommendation.
Ann?
So, I think that was all well said, and I recognize the importance. I think they actually requested double that to stabilize, just to make that clear.
Yep.
But, when it stacks up against some of the other priority needs, like the COLA, but also like the homeless folks on the street, in terms of that as an item, 800,000, I could only support it as a medium priority. The alternative, just because of the resource prioritization. The alternative, though, is the 11 million fund, the prevention, the cannabis money, that's new prevention money coming in. This really fits into exactly, prevention of slipping back. These are people are on the recovery journey. So it's not treatment, but it's really critical for recovery, which puts it squarely in, I think, the kind of initiatives we want to be able to expand via having required that amount from the cannabis legalization. So that's my thoughts.
That's an interesting thought.
I like that thought.
Yeah, I'm not sure the department's gonna like us spending all that cannabis money, but if we think it's a priority, which I hadn't thought, I know that they don't think about prevention in the way that you just mentioned it. But I think that's a valid way to think about it. It is, the work that they do is important to preventing relapse for people. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna expound on that. I think at times when we hear the term recovery, we just go to that one foot of the stool and say, oh, it's just recovery, but recovery centers are so much more: prevention, education, not clinical or treatment. But there is a level of that cognitive things that go on there. So I agree that
A lot of your support.
yeah, there's a multitude of facets that these centers operate, and to see to be able to invest in that infrastructure and to help with their capacity, the bigger caseloads that they're taking on, more Vermonters are engaging the centers. So I think this is a quality investment.
Oh, no, I'm not saying I don't agree with that. I just meant if we could get funding from the.
I think that's a good suggestion to fund from prevention.
Thanks.
I'm gonna write prevents.
Yeah, it would be the same. Well, actually, it's within the Department of Health. It's not even
They
doing
don't
like
have
with
to
the
transfer.
DCF, yeah, this, it's the
Say prevents and addresses. Why did I put that? Okay, and so with that, yeah, go ahead, Todd.
I have a general question.
Yeah.
Is there a certain percentage of highest we're allowed to submit?
No, this is totally up to our judgment.
Okay, thank you.
So,
That's,
Just
they're
like
gonna
this-
weigh that in their discussions of what they can or can fund. They're gonna look at our level of priority.
right,
So if we put them all as highest, then we're not making a recommendation at all.
My question.
Yeah, so it feels to me like essentially we're offering you a set of tools when you get ready to go do this. You understand what we're doing and you have a sense then.
well, yeah, I mean, I make the case for what our committee recommends, and then they make the decisions about what
Right.
they, end up funding within the context of the state's total budget, so.
Yeah.
We won't get everything that we've marked as highest.
Right.
And they have people, lobbyists who come to them as
Oh, sure.
well, who might
Right,
argue against our priorities versus others.
Right.
They have to take it all.
I was gonna suggest, high for this one, but, since we've identified a source of funds for it, I feel like I could do highest.
Oh, I'm fine with highest if we're identifying it from the prevention money.
That's what I
Yeah.
put down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brilliant man.
yeah.
She is brilliant.
Okay, so I have identified it as highest, $800,000. This again, we won't vote on it because you didn't have it in your thing. I'll send the final to you over lunch, okay? And now that completes our work.
Then we have
All
language.
this, and then we have language. Okay, so I am going to ask y'all to take a very close look at this over the lunchtime and maybe in this afternoon. We do have to get this out today. And language, estimated number of people served homelessness per, okay. Dan, have you gotten anything on home share?
No, yeah, so sorry, I thought you were gonna ask me something else.
Oh.
Hang on, yes.
I was just looking at the yellow things that are on my here.
Okay. There's other emails.
For other folks, if you want to open up 218, you have the latest version of 218 on your iPads, and that's what we're moving to next.
So, right here, yeah. I think.
I'm fine with leaving as it is, Dan. I'm just looking to see if it has
So
anything in
they're
there about.
expecting around 100 applications in the expanded area.
Uh-huh.
With possibly 2 or 3 from individuals in coordinated entry.
Okay, and so, do they, applications, does that mean that they'd be able to serve that many people? Okay, all right, I'm gonna leave it blank.
Okay.
I'll have that in my back of my head that, roughly 100
It's
applications.
1 or 2% that,
Say expecting 100 applications.
yes. Roughly 1 or 2% that provide a fit in a home share setting
Okay,
coming out of coordinated entry.
and then,
And then I got some language from on nursing homes that you and I can talk about, or I can also just send off and kind of integrate it into what we already have.
okay, let's talk about that just briefly.
Yeah.
Not right this time, so, okay. Share, we're gonna hit share. Share, I'm gonna see what happens. Results. All right, that's not gonna work. Okay, I just sent you the final doc. Not popping into my email, and what that means.
We already have the final, 218.
We have, oh, there it is,
There it
okay. I see, okay, all right, Katie. So you have the final doc on our chart, take a look that over lunch, we'll talk about that this afternoon, we do have witnesses at 1. So we'll, after that. Yeah, great. We'll be done.
Yeah.
We'll be done, because I have another meeting after this. Okay. I think,
No, I saw it, but what was the time?
which one? you talking
218, is that what we're looking at now?
No, you
No,
can
no,
find it
no.
on the webpage.
It's on the
Oh,
webpage. Okay, great, thanks.
And feel free to go ahead and put it up on the screen, Katie.
Okay, great. Okay, there it is, Katie Klein, Office of Legislative Counsel. We're looking at draft 3.1. I've highlighted the changes to make it a little bit easier to see. In section 1, this was our list of appropriations from the opioid abatement special fund. There's been some renumbering and some pieces sort of shuffled around, some appropriations shuffled around. So that's what you're seeing highlighted here. Subdivisions 2 and 3 means that there's been some renumbering. But this appropriation to the recovery residences on line 20 had been 1.2 million. Now it's 1.4 million. You've decided to update the intent language to be 2026 fiscal levels. So you'll see that on page 2, line 2, and also on line 6. In subdivision 4, you've updated the appropriation to be 850,000, reducing that appropriation by 200,000. That's where the 1.2 to 1.4 shift comes from. And you're renumbering throughout. At the bottom of page 2, yesterday you decided that 2 appropriations would come out of this $800,000. Previously, it was just for OEO's long-term support programs. And now you also have the appropriation for DOC for distribution to pathways coming out of that 800,000. So that lead-in language is 800,000 for distribution between both. And then you list the OEO program and DOC's distribution to pathways. You don't distinguish how that money is divided between the two. You leave that, you're silent on that.
I'm wondering if we were intending to be silent. Was it $35,000 to Department of Corrections?
Yeah.
Specifically the pathways.
Right, I think we should be specific if it's.
Yeah. Yeah, might we give confusion about,
Right,
like, that maybe we
So-
intended it 50/50.
right, which we
didn't.
don't, yeah.
Okay.
So if somehow we can make that change, yeah, go ahead.
Would it be appropriate, because obviously they've been allocated already $35,000? And if that was the recommendation and the provision, should there be some type of language acknowledging that they're to receive a minimum of 35,000 from that 800,000?
That's what we're just
Well,
talking
we're
about.
Oh, okay, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, Katie's gonna figure out a way to,
Of which 35,000 is to go,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that, you know, Every time I think we should be general and turns out we should be more specific. Oh,
It's like that.
I know.
Remember that like discussion about the word the,
Yes.
where we had
Oh my
like the
God. Oh
Supreme
my
Court justice.
It was, yeah, I mean, really.
Oh, we went in circles.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put that in bold, so I remember to go back and look at it.
Okay.
Subdivision 9, you wanted, HCRS to be spelled out, so here you have, for healthcare and rehabilitation services of Southeastern Vermont's Project Connection Works. You wanted Bellow Falls spelled out, so now in subdivision 12, you have To Friends for Changes Youth Center and Bellows Falls. More remembering. And then, there's a new subdivision B, because this is no longer an appropriation, with regard to the overdose prevention center. This is a carry forward. So what had been subdivision 2 has been removed from that list in subsection A. You have a new subsection B that reads, the Department of Health shall carry forward 1.1 million appropriated from the special fund in fiscal year 25 for the purpose of awarding grants to the city of Burlington for establishing an overdose prevention center upon submission of a grant proposal that has been approved by the Burlington City Council and meets the requirements in statute, including the guidelines developed by the Department of Health. Any unmet need in fiscal year 2026 shall be addressed in the department's budget adjustment proposal.
So just to be transparent, I want to say that the city of Burlington is not in favor of this. And they have expressed concern about this. They feel like they need the full 1.1 in 25 and in 26. I'm putting it out there. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to push back a little bit in the other direction. The last sentence, when it says any unmet need, that could be a request arguing for a BAA amount of another million. And I think our intent, may be wrong, but I think our intent is we would have continued. The original intent of the legislature was another 1.1 million for the second year of the program. In this case, given the start time, we actually meant the last quarter, which is what would otherwise be unfunded. So I think it needs to say any unmet need
Not
in
exceeding 275,000.
right, or in equalizing 1.1 million for that full fiscal year 26.
Yeah, it's 275,000
Yeah.
per quarter.
Right.
That's 15 months worth of operation.
Yeah, okay, so any unmet need up to 275 shall be addressed, yeah, in the budget.
Go ahead.
With the cities sharing their opposition to what we've been discussing, did they give any specifics as to how they think they will be able to spend this, or a timeline that?
Nothing other than what we got from Teresa Vizina.
There was no additional communication.
I know, I mean,
I misunderstood.
The additional communication they had was with the speaker's office, and the mayor of Burlington stood here and I was here and she said nothing to me about it.
I was here when she
Right,
came in, yeah.
right. She just said nothing to me about it. So I don't know if, maybe she was unaware or something at that time, but I don't think so, because then I think it was she who was talking to the speaker's office. I'm not sure, but yeah, no, I received nothing in addition to what, nothing that I'm aware of, at least. I should say I'm not totally up to date on my email in the last 24 hours, like I say. Okay.
I would, I like the direction that we're going. I may push back a little bit on limiting it to the, 1 quarter. Should they pick up speed at a pace faster than we may expect that they will? We did allocate, 1.1 million this year and looking at 1.1 next year. So I would be a little reluctant to put a cap on what the ask could be in the BAA.
I might, I'm a little uncomfortable with the specified 1 quarter amount as opposed to something that said any unmet need, that I just want it consistent with the intent of of the, I just don't want to make it sound like it's any unmet need, like we've
Yeah.
expanded what we think the level of how much we need,
Yeah,
but
We cap it at 1.1, which
Yeah,
is what.
That's what's-
not to exceed the FY 25.
Because
Well,
that's
could we
what
just say unmet
appropriated
needs?
in
in fiscal year
25.
2020, not, like, is it the any that kind of makes it?
Why don't we say compromise and up to 50% of the original appropriation or something like that? Or, I understand the 275 might be too limiting. But I don't, the intent was that, we'd be looking, we knew there were some development costs. Okay, so the 1.1 wasn't necessarily meant to include, we have a detailed budget. I can't put my
yeah,
hands on
the
it,
one,
but.
1.1
It included
wasn't
the
necessarily for 12 months because of operation,
Correct.
because it does take some development
Development
time.
time, right.
Yeah, I'd be okay with saying not to exceed, the half amount.
That'd be 550,000.
In recognition that that if they had gotten it from the get-go, they would have had more to spend in the back half of the year. Would need more in operations or not.
What are people thinking?
I like just the 1.1, but that they got reserved basically already. And zoning and everything is gonna be a long time if they do start up something, but that's what's me.
They still won't get it in approved. I mean, shall be addressed. Doesn't mean
It's gonna
they
get
automatically get it.
approved, right?
It's that it will be addressed, it will be brought forth in the proposal, in the budget adjustment proposal. It doesn't mean a proposal gets approved by the legislature. It just means the department has to include that in their proposal.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's go with 550,000, up to 550,000. Any unmet need up to 550,000 and fiscal year 26 should be addressed. Okay?
In the BE.
Not to
In the
exceed.
not to exceed, yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any, along the lines of what we were just talking about, do we have any concerns about the use of the word shall be addressed?
No, I do not have any concerns about
Shall
that.
be addressed doesn't mean legislature, it means the department
The
has to
department
address
has to
it.
address it.
It doesn't mean it doesn't
Doesn't
mean the
mean we fund it,
legislature.
but it
Right.
means it, yes.
It's in there, that's the last word proposal there.
Yeah. Okay, next.
Okay, subsection C, you wanted information on outcome and measurements data to go also to the opioid settlement advisory committee. So that is what this addition is on line 17 and 18.
Can we say for use in their deliberation?
Right. That's what we talked about.
No?
Yes, but maybe hold that thought because I added it to the language for the advisory committee also.
Okay.
So this is just reporting that the grants information goes to the advisory committee.
Okay.
Then keeping along. Okay, here it is. So this, what page am I on? Page 8, bottom of page 8, top of page 9. This is the presentation. This is language about how the advisory committee comes to make its recommendations. So the sentence added here is the advisory committee's written recommendation shall address how each recommendation meets one or more of the criteria listed in subsections 4774B and C of this subchapter. Actually, that's not very responsive to the request you just had. So you want the information from the grants to be considered in making future appropriations. recommendations.
Outcomes, we want information on outcomes to be considered in making recommendations, yeah. Or 77B and C, I don't know.
And you want that to be ongoing?
Those are the
Yeah.
criteria.
That was a different issue we
Uses
talked
for
about.
the.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, this was a different issue. Okay.
Going back to the settlement language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
saying what the money could be used. for.
Oh, sorry. This, yeah,
Yeah.
this
that's-
links what's already in statute. We went through the existing statute, all those criteria, and this is saying can you match your recommendations to the criteria that are listed in statute?
Okay,
But what you also want is language about recs based on data outcomes. Okay, I'll go back and do that. Okay, next, you added a vice chair and you made some tweaks to that yesterday. Annually, the advisory committee shall elect a voting vice chair from among its non-governmental members. And I think that could be it. Yep, that's it for changes.
Anybody have any questions? Confusion? No? Okay, so we'll wait for Katie to get us back another version of this.
Okay, good.
Okay, and then we'll be voting on that this afternoon.
If I'm awake.
Okay, so, Katie, just while you're here, do we feel like we have all the language? I mean, there's so many people have been sending so many pieces.
I think I have. it
Dan,
all.
did you send
Let me-
anything to Katie about that from what you received from Laura
No,
Pelosi?
because you and I need to talk about it.
Is this, you want to put it out there as a proposal?
Just the way.
You're writing, okay.
You want me to send you what I have that's a comprehensive list now, or do you want?
Yes, could you send that to the full committee, including Katie, and we'll match up what you think that you've done with what I think that what we think that we have. We put them all in one document.
Okay.
But there were a lot of things floating back and forth, particularly in Jubilee and Esme's
Yes.
space.
I'm just wondering, the document you were taking it from a PDF. Is it better?
Word now,
Okay, is it? Okay, great.
by department,
Okay, great.
so we can follow.
Sometimes it's hard to cut and paste, so if that worked for you.
Converted,
You did.
I didn't cut paste.
Sorry, I thought you were gonna give me a list and I was gonna put it all in the document when you're done.
One
No.
document that
No,
has
she- yeah,
all
no, it
the.
was like it. She's
Right on it. Right, there's one that I missed copying to you along with Teresa, so I just sent it to you.
Okay.
And that's the language where I'm not sure if it captured what Teresa wanted, because.
I haven't
Teresa was,
looked at
I know, right,
Yeah.
I know you have. that's why we're-
thinking about
you
doing your work.
I don't have an attachment with what you just sent me.
Okay. I will,
Okay, so we'll send that to you, and then it's, when Ray is done making sure that she's got all the ones that are sort of low floating around, it's going out to all committee members, so please review that during, we're gonna leave a little early for lunch, and you can take the next 15 minutes or so to do
I
that,
need 1 second for you,
before I sign off.
yeah. Or after, before people leave.
Oh, okay. I think, we're done with the